Hey, so welcome back. It's Friday. I get a break for the weekend for business stuff. Not so much of a break with you guys, but we're going to talk about a lot of things today. We have a great guest that's going to be on here, Sheriff Richard Mack. Mack was on earlier and did Tina Peters' show as a guest host, so I'll thank him in advance for that work as well. A couple of things we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you what's happening in the market. I'm not a financial planner. And you're not investing money with me, but I want to talk to you about what's happening in the market. The fact that the stock market is dropping. What does that mean? Should you panic? I got an email from someone today, which is why I think that President Trump is not paying attention to what the indicators are. He's not paying attention to what the narrative that's being put out there is that President Trump's going to ruin the market. The left is actually driving things down right now. And in large part, that has to do with sell-offs and shorting stocks and doing stuff in order to manipulate the market. And when the radicals have such a big hold on what we do as a society, it becomes really difficult to push past it. But we're going to talk about that as well. And then I want to get back to talking about Tina Peters. It's Friday. It's April. It's April 4th. And Tina Peters is still in jail. And we have to ask ourselves the question of whether or not why the DOJ was involved and why the FBI was involved in the persecution of Tina Peters. Now, we know that that's the case. And I'm not a fan of Sherronna Bishop at all for a lot of reasons. She says a lot of things that are just absolute horseshit. And frankly, she walked past. I watched this interview that she did. So she appeared as a guest on this show called America, Can We Talk, hosted by Debbie Georgatos. Oh, you would know that. You're Greek. See that? During the interview, she claimed that Merrick, Garland, and Christopher Wray joined a meeting she and others had with Mesa County Commissioners to discuss election fraud and Tina Peters. However, the meeting was open to the public. And not once during the entire hour and a half call was Garland or Wray ever mentioned. So they weren't mentioned in the call. And not once. So why is Sherronna making these claims now? Why didn't it come up in the case? And if it's true, where's the evidence? And why isn't it brought up during her testimonies? Look, I'm digging really deep into Tina Peters. I have found actual evidence, emails that show the DOJ was involved with the Colorado AG's office, which was involved with Dan Rubenstein, who then persecuted Tina Peters. I have the taped interviews of the investigators at the AG office at the state level, who then sent their DAs, their deputy DAs, down to Mesa County to be co-counsel to go after Tina Peters. In other words, showing it's a state-sponsored persecution of Tina Peters. And so I'm digging really deep into this. And now I'm turning over every rock. And in this interview, by the way, that Sherronna had, she did not talk about the fact that she said Doug Frank, and I knew Doug Frank, and said she only got involved in politics in 2018. That's actually not true either. But regardless, this America's Mom said some things. I'm looking into what she said. Are they true or are they not true? They went after her at the FBI. Okay. They came in, they knocked down your door. It doesn't tell me a whole lot. The FBI is known to do weird things in order to make it look like someone is this innocent victim so they can further infiltrate or do things to hurt people. Now, I will say this. Tina Peters went to the symposium and was pushed onto a stage where people clapped for her, right? And they put the image up on the thing. A serious person would never put the image. I told them, do not do this. Do not put that image up on the screen. You are cheapening everything that is happening related to this. Didn't talk about Conan Hayes. Didn't talk about anything else, but talked about Doug Frank. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what's happening in the marketplace. We have Sheriff Mack He's the founder of CSPOA, which is the Sheriff's Association of America. He's going to discuss what a constitutional sheriff is, which we've already talked about that before. So I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on that. But also the importance of the 10th Amendment. And then later we'll talk about the economy. And more specifically, we're going to talk to you about what it means to have Liberation Day and why are these foreign interests and people in our country doing things to sabotage President Trump and the American people. It's not just sabotage President Trump. They want him to reverse course. And you want to know why they want him to reverse course? Not because it's good for the American people, but because it's good for them. It's good for them. So we're going to talk about all of that and more today on Untamed. Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. All right, so before we get started, it's important for everyone to understand that in order to stop the wheels of justice, which are already very slow, all you have to do is seed doubt. You have to be basically sow doubt, put seeds in the ground that show doubt so it sprouts up and it blocks any evidence that you have. Let me just talk a little bit about the sowing doubt part. When I got involved in this entire thing, I had a guy that was really good at math and that was a coder and was helping me kind of figure out what was in my brain. How do we put it on paper? Probabilities. We would do ARIMAs and ARIMA analysis of data. We would chop it up into different pieces and look at probabilities. And this is when I was looking at, all right, how are they cheating in the election? Here's all these stuff. And I worked with him up until... He used to work for me. And I worked with him up until like the 22nd of December. So he died of a drug overdose on the 24th of December, 2020. So it's I always thought that, he had some demons, but I thought he was past it, those demons. And so right before Christmas, obviously to see that he passed away, it shook me a little bit. But I would dig into things and I would see people come out with evidence. And one of those people was Dennis Montgomery. He came out and he talked about PCABs. He's like, I gave this 12-hour testimony for state secrets. Turns out it's all bullshit. It's not true. But they can just make it up because they're all connected to these really bad people in the government. And you have CIA simps, one of which came to Colorado in November of 2020 to see me. Chuck Faddis, he wrote a book. He's a super smart guy. I figured out that he was on the bad team pretty early on when somebody called me and said, "You this, and this." And the only person that I said that to was Chuck Faddis. He's like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't probable." Well, okay. And I remember him sitting at that table. Do you remember him sitting at that table, Apollo?
Yeah, I do. At the
restaurant? I was like, this guy's he's not a serious guy. I actually turned, while I was sitting with him, I was like, yeah, this guy's not a serious guy. I said it, I could read him very easily. I said, he's not a serious guy. But you had things that people put out there. And the more that you had Javon Pulitzer is there saying, oh, I hacked the poll pads and I'm in your system right now. Turns out he wasn't. It was a lie. No evidence that he was inside of it. He just made it up. And he used that to parlay himself into trying to weasel himself into the Arizona audit. And again, when you put stuff in there that's not credible, you ruin the credibility of the stuff that is credible. It becomes impossible to see what's What's real, what isn't real, causing fatigue to set in. The 11,000 ballots. I mean, President Trump called him and said, and they're like, yeah, he told us to go find 11,000 ballots for Georgia. You're thinking to yourself, that's not what he said. You listen to the tape, that's not what he said. But the rhinos and the Democrats and the radical media all carried it. And we know. We know these are bad people. Dennis Montgomery, PCAPs. It's all a lie. It's compression software. That's a lie. I can make a car disappear. I can have this program make a car literally in front of you disappear. I mean, the type of nonsense that gets put out there. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the things that, like the Q movement, I'm sure a lot of it's true, but it's mixed in with stuff that is unrealistically unbelievable. And so as a result, you get lumped in to that environment. Well, same here. See, Sherronna Bishop was on this call and she went to do this interview. This is in January. And this isn't about Sherronna Bishop. This is about Tina Peters. See, Tina Peters, some of the things that Sherronna said were true. 1, 3 unknown people ran for office for the commissioners in a special election, a spring election for those commissioners in 2021. Unknown people. Unknown. You have a Republican slate in a highly Republican environment, and the slate of radical leftists wins in Mesa County. It's impossible. So they take it to Tina, and they show it to Tina, and Tina's like, yep, that doesn't seem like that's possible. That's how they got Tina. And they had Doug Frank that came in first. And Sherronna said in this interview, I listened to the whole interview. Sherronna said in this interview, I knew Doug Frank, we became friends. Look, I don't call anybody my friend if I only know them for 6 months. They're not my friend. I'm friendly with them, but they're not my friend. Nobody's my friend after 6 months. Nobody becomes my friend until they're battle tested against the truth, whether or not they're a good person. Are they the same person in Vegas that they are when they're with their wife or their husband or what have you? And so I want to play this a little bit because then Sherronna makes a statement that she was on a call with Merrick Garland, and I already have I have emails that show that the DOJ was involved. So I have those. It was involved with the AG's office. It was also involved with Dan Rubenstein, that there was a heavy involvement. We have something that does have a connection. But what Sherronna said, I had to go validate. Kind of like PCAPs. Because you're trying to get to the bottom of this. And if you put out information like this, it becomes damaging if it's not true, because the DOJ is going to be like, oh, that's not true, and that's not true. Well, maybe we just need to leave this case alone and pray that somewhere along the line somebody pardons Tina Peters. So Sherronna claimed during the meeting of Mesa County Commissioners, and they had a meeting with the Mesa County Commissioners, and this is about Tina and the insecurities of election, that Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray joined the call. Let's play this little bit so you don't think that I've paraphrased anything. Play it.
So you made a presentation to the county commissioners in September.
Yes, so we've come back from the symposium and all of that, and Colonel Sean Smith testified via Zoom. We walk into this meeting, I guess I should set the stage a little bit. We walk into this meeting, I've let the commissioners know, hey, we have some of the information that's coming out from the forensic images. We want to present this to you guys so that you will not re-sign the multi-million-dollar contract with Dominion voting machines, and instead go with another company that Clerk Peters had already arranged a contract with that would cost the county tremendously less dollars. Still a machine, but we don't really know the difference yet in the machines, or that they're all the same basically. So we don't know that yet. So we're just trying to find a solution. So that's what we think the meeting is for. Colonel Sean, we walk in, an FBI agent is in the room, the district attorneys, investigators are in the room, the county attorney's in the room, former Secretary of State Wayne Williams, who is responsible for purchasing the Bluetooth modems, which are illegal, was in the room and putting them on our voting machines in the state of Colorado. He's in the room. And then, of course, the county commissioners. Coming in via Zoom is the Department of Justice, Chris Wray and Merrick Garland, and MSNBC. Several of the MSNBC news media were on the Zoom. And I was like, okay. well, this just got interesting. I felt really confident about what we were doing. Again, we had full transparency, advised by legal counsel. Like, we knew we were within the law. There was nothing we had done wrong. So we walk in. Colonel Sean Smith did a phenomenal job talking about the machines, all of his expertise there. And essentially, it just kind of crumbles into they really just wanted to know about Tina. They had no interest in what had happened with our electronic voting machines. They had no interest in what happened in our elections. And if you have the opportunity, you can view the recording actually of the meeting is available online. You can watch it in its entirety, and you will be absolutely blown away at how little these, quote, elected officials actually care about your vote. They do not care.
All right. So we actually have the full video of the Zoom call. And actually, if you'll go ahead and put that up just next to me. Super important. This is what she lists on there as Corey Anderson, Tom Bajorlin, Colonel Sean Smith, Sherronna Bishop, Commissioners Janet Rowland, Scott McGinnis, and Cody Davis. DA investigator James Cannon Strew, former SOS Wayne Williams, the piece of trash that brought us Dominion, County Attorney Todd Starr, online listening in Merrick Garland Mainstream Media Organization. So let's just go ahead and go to this if we can. See if we can go to it. Yeah, just put it in there. Who else is in there? It looks like. Just turn it on.
Share with you. And my name is Sherronna Bishop, for the record. I am a citizen of Garfield County. I'm a volunteer here in the community and have been working closely with Cody and many other volunteers in working on voter canvassing and voter verification. And through that effort, we did come upon things that we thought were suspicious and not consistent with the gold standard voting system of Colorado. So for that reason, we were able to, I guess, when you're pursuing something, other people figure out what you're pursuing and they're also pursuing it, and you link up. And amazing professionals and experts in their field have joined our efforts to explore what we think is happening in Colorado, what we believe is happening in Colorado. So the purpose of this hearing today is to bring that information directly to you. It's unfair of us to have asked you to just take our word for it, especially when you have people like Wayne Williams.
So I want to, and she's going to talk about Wayne Williams and Matt Crane, two very disgusting individuals in the state of Colorado. And it was in November of 2020 when Wayne Williams filibustered the hearing about election fraud in Colorado and took the entire pulpit, wouldn't let anybody speak. And I was kicked out of it. It was, I think, the 22nd or 23rd of 22nd of November. And he talked for 3.5 hours. They wouldn't let people get 2 minutes. They let him talk for 3.5 hours. Just taking questions, talking about the fact that people just need to trust us. It was disgusting. Now here's the problem. The article I'm about to show you is pretty nasty, especially towards Tina, but I want to focus on this part. I want to focus on this one part. So this is the Grand Junction Sentinel. This is a radical left publication in Grand Junction. And there's a certain part of this article that I want to show you. And you have the people on the airplane. Okay. So let's go at the very top, if you would. This picture briefly appeared on, let's see if I can get back to it. Briefly appeared on the Facebook page of Jacqueline Anderson, vice chairwoman of the Mesa County Republican Party. She, along with her husband, Corey, wearing a red hat. Garfield County resident Sherronna Bishop, in the far back right, Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters, are on a private plane headed to Mike Lindell's conspiracy theory event in August 9th. Lindell later admitted to paying for that flight from Grand Junction to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Okay. So I want to concentrate on one thing in here. There's a forensic document that's in this September 17, 2021, confidential legal document exempt from Colorado Open Records Act. And this goes through and talks to the commissioners and is signed by Tina Peters. You see that on the side? Enclosure first reported the cybersecurity experts who have analyzed thoroughly the 2 forensic images of the drive of the DVS Democracy Election Management System in my office, which was used for the management of the 2020 election. Because the report documents substantial amounts of data destruction during the May 25th trusted build conducted by Secretary of State's office and the vendor, I want to get this in your hands immediately. I just received this report today. From my review of the executive summary, it does appear that my concerns were more than justified. The experts included the forensic analysis are apparently issuing additional reports in the near future, and of course, I'll promptly deliver these to you. In the meantime, I would welcome discussion defining the proper course forward for the county to preserve the integrity of the elections. So what Tina said in this letter is basically, all right, I want to get to the bottom of it. I did. Everything that I said was real, and it rang true. But there's a small part of this that said the meeting was expected to be a private among voting officials, local officials, and stakeholders from Mesa County, the group said in its release. In a shocking twist, the meeting was open and attended by a large cadre of people who had chronically dismissed citizen concerns and expert testimony on election integrity. So what it would mean is that this meeting was open to the public via Zoom. And as the article states, the meeting was attended by a large cadre of people. You can actually attend the meeting live in the county commissioners when they are happening. And you'll notice here as you start to look at, you have this thing at the very top. If we can put it up there, that says live, view live meeting, and it'll open it right up for you. Anytime they have something, they keep it open. You have the ability to then look at whatever meeting is actually going on at the time that it's going on. So considering that the meeting was public, there's no mention of Garland or Wray. So you have her say that, hey, I got in there, I'm talking about it. The Zoom allows people to assume any name. I can call myself Peter Pan if you want. So you get on an interview in January, much like everything else that's been done. Like Dennis Montgomery claims that there was PCAPs, and Conan Hayes is, somewhere along the line has access to those PCAPs and this compression software. We're mounting it and we do all this stuff. Only it never happened. It's all a lie. But you can take on any name you want. There's not a whole lot of definitive proof Garland or Wray were in attendance. They didn't talk. It wasn't like Eric Coomer. Eric Coomer talked. Eric Coomer talked on that deal. What we do have, however, is an actual statement from the Colorado AG who stated this. Here's what the Colorado AG said. This just happened. Respondent objected to the statement of interest because its primary purpose appears to be to threaten investigation of the attorneys that prosecuted Ms. Peters. These threats were baseless and improper, particularly in light of the heavy involvement of the United States Department of Justice and the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Colorado in the investigation of Peters' criminal conduct. The United States attorneys who signed the statement of interest that contained those threats have now withdrawn from this matter. Okay, you ready for this? So maybe Sherronna was lying and maybe she wasn't, right? If she was not, she was actual proof Garland and Wray were in attendance. Why didn't she provide that proof? Why didn't she provide the proof? And if Garland or Wray were in attendance, there would be greater grounds for government overreach and political persecution. There would be. Now, they just admitted, the AG's office in Colorado admitted that the DOJ was involved in the prosecution of Tina Peters. By their own words, their own admission. This seems weird. The DOJ was the one that was involved in it. Now the DOJ is coming back and saying that there was persecution against Tina Peters. So Tina Peters was persecuted by the DOJ. Now the DOJ is coming back and saying, I want to see if there was any persecution that happened against Tina Peters. Well, obviously you should know because you were involved in it from the begin with. Per the Colorado AG's office, who, by the way, smells of the fact that they're trying to cover it up. They're trying to cover it up. I don't, I do have some information that I want to release to you. We did hear from Tina Peters. She did get transferred. For those of you that don't know, she got transferred to the women's DOC in Denver, Colorado. And contrary to how she's been treated for the last 6 months, her comment is that she had the first decent meal since getting put in jail up in Mesa County since she got there. First decent meal. Imagine how that would feel. Your first decent meal. She just had it. So she's not enjoying her stay at Club Med. She's not enjoying her stay at all. But she at least is getting a little bit of relief in the goulash and the slop that they actually issue her. All right. We're going to come back to Tina, but I don't want to keep my guests waiting. Sheriff Mack was a sheriff for 2 terms up until 1997. I've met him many times. He has worked on election integrity. He's also worked on just getting sheriffs to act like they have balls. If they're male, they have balls. And he consults and empowers people around the country. He probably could tell us a whole lot about Dennis Montgomery, because I know he was in Arizona at one point. I don't know if we'll bring it up. We won't. We probably won't. But he started the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which educates citizens as well as sheriffs and other peace officers on the Constitution and their limited power. Now, we're going to probably talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to talk about the 10th Amendment, and then I'm going to talk about the Second Amendment and how states are walking past not just the Second Amendment, but the 10th Amendment and the 14th Amendment, which is equal protections. You don't have the right to have anybody in a different state be less of a U.S. citizen than others. And yet that's what this infringement on our rights on the Second and First actually do. They walk right past it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Sheriff Mack. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Are you looking for monthly income without risks of stocks? Here's something you won't hear on CNBC. There's a unique way to collect royalties directly from America's most productive oil fields. No exploring, no drilling, no operating headaches. You simply collect checks month after month. The best part? You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. The Oxford Club Chief Income Strategist, Mark Lichtenfeld, breaks down what he believes is the .1 oil royalty plan for 2025. Visit oilboom2025.com now to learn more. That's oilboom2025.com. Stop buying oil stocks and start collecting oil royalty checks instead. All right, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I want to bring in Sheriff Mack. We were talking a little bit beforehand. He doesn't need a lot of introduction. He's traveled all over the country. He has been an ambassador for people, no matter where they are, and has been a staunch supporter of the Constitution, and has probably been one of the most consistent men. You can date him all the way back to 1997, but even in all the things that he did for during COVID and during the debacle of the last 4 years. So with that said, Sheriff Mack, welcome to the show.
It's good to be back with you, and we're all in this fight together, and I hope that everybody else is staying consistent.
There you go. Gotcha. I got you back.
There we go. So anyway, I shed a tear for Tina quite often, and also now for Sheriff Scott Jenkins, who is facing the same plight. The FBI under Biden arrested him and charged him, and he got convicted of bribery. And if he has committed bribery, every politician in this country has done the same thing. So we're trying to get it's federal charges, and we're trying to get this in front of President Trump. Please, somebody get this in front of President Trump. I thought I had a lot of people that knew President Trump and that would have had this to him by now. General Flynn, Steve Bannon, Ted Nugent, Mark Fincham, Senator Wendy Rogers. It just goes on and on. Now I'm working on my congressman. Somebody's got to get this, because an innocent man is about to go to prison for 10 to 15 years. And he is one of the best constitutional sheriffs we've ever had. And that is Sheriff Scott Jenkins from Virginia. And we have got to get this moving right away. I've been trying for 4 months to get him some help to where he doesn't have to go to prison. If it had been federal charges against Tina, I'm sure she wouldn't be there, because Trump could have taken care of her right away. Mike Lindell, please call President Trump and get him moving on this. We've really got to get him some help.
Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Because I don't know his story at all.
It hasn't been too it hasn't been too widespread, even on the freedom movement. And I've been trying to do that. Every show I get on, I talk about him. But he and some other sheriffs, about 5 or 6 of them, had a phone conversation, and they were all talking about whether or not they would take action to. And this was about 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, where they would take action and start investigating Hunter Biden for the laptop evidence. 3 of them said they would. Two or three said they would not. They didn't think it was their jurisdiction. But anyway, two of the ones that said yes was a sheriff, another Jenkins, Chuck Jenkins from Maryland, and Sheriff Scott Jenkins from Virginia. Just a few days later, they were both arrested and indicted by the FBI.
Okay, so I'm reading it now. Culpeper County Sheriff received over $70,000 in cash payments in exchange for auxiliary deputy sheriff appointments.
Yep, big deal. Yep. So what? Okay, so President Trump and President Biden both have appointed people as ambassadors who donated to their campaigns. Tell me the difference.
Okay, so
he gave him an honorary position on his posse that he's entirely in charge of, and he can. Okay, so you donate big to me. I'm telling you right now, on our website we have a posse CSPOA posse badge for $760. That's a pretty huge markup. It's a fundraiser for us. So if I give somebody a badge and then tell them they're a major on our posse, am I going to go to prison?
I don't
bring it on, because
so I don't understand. This doesn't. So I'm looking at this from the perspective of these are donations. I'm trying to read it while I'm talking.
Correct.
To you. I don't understand.
And who's the victim? Tell me who the victim is. There isn't one.
Did the money go
There's
to
no
them or did it go to their campaign? Did the money go to him or the campaign?
Campaign.
In the form of campaign contributions totaling at least $72,500 from Rick Rahim of Great Falls, Virginia.
Okay, let's say he did exactly what they said he did. Where's the crime? If Biden or Trump appoint someone who donated to their campaign and they make him an ambassador to Guatemala or Mexico or whatever else, where's the crime? Who's the victim? Biden put people in his cabinet that donated big time to him. Trump has done that last time, and I'm sure this time. He picks his friends. He picks people he knows. He picks people who are on his campaign. Where's the crime? It doesn't look right. Doesn't look good. But there's no crime there. And that's how campaigns work.
He didn't have the money. They gave campaign stuff. Was there a quid pro quo done at all?
Okay, so I tell you, hey, if you donate to my campaign, I'll make you a member of our posse. Okay, so
I mean, it doesn't seem illegal to me.
It's not illegal. It's not. And so, okay, so like I said, even if he did exactly what they said, I remember that when the communist dictator Obama was in office, and he took an illegal $300,000 campaign donation. The SEC came out and said that he needed to give the money back, or it's a felony or whatever. Look, campaign donations are a farce. The judge in Wisconsin took $2 million from Soros. Okay.
Did it go to a PAC, or how did that work?
All I read is that he gave her $2 million. The sheriff the former sheriff here in Maricopa County, Penzone, took $1.5 million from Penzone, from Soros, so he would beat Joe Arpaio. It worked. He did. Now we have a good sheriff in Maricopa County by the name of Jerry Sheridan, very good friend of mine. I worked on his campaign. So I actually helped raise money for him, and I got a 15% commission. Okay, so I guess they should come and arrest me. Yeah, come and arrest me. Code 3, man.
Dun, 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 dun. What you gonna do? All right. So
wait. Let me tell you where people should be arrested. That politicians in Washington D.C., these corrupt, criminal politicians in Washington, D.C., take money from you and me and every other taxpayer in this country, and they funnel it to a private organization to kill babies. Planned Parenthood. They are not part of our government. They provide no government service, and we are forced to do that. Then the $700 million that they get from taxpayers forced taxpayer dollars to that private organization, private club. Planned Parenthood turns right around and funnels that money back to the politicians who support them in the first place for their campaigns. You want an illegal activity? There you go. You got one right there. Nothing ever happens to them. But now a sheriff gets campaign donations, and then he makes some of the donors members of his posse. Some honorary. But I don't care either way. The posse is completely up to the sheriff how he runs it. There is nothing illegal there, and there's nothing criminal. But there is something criminal with taking taxpayer dollars, giving it to Planned Parenthood, and then they give donations back to the same politicians that helped create this illegal law and funneling of money of taxpayer dollars. No.
Okay,
and
so
he's just a few days away from reporting to prison.
Now, was he found guilty, or did he prove? He
was found guilty. He testified in his own behalf, and I tried to get his attorney to appeal on the grounds that the FBI has no authority to be investigating sheriffs in the first place. FBI is not over the sheriffs. They're not overseers of sheriffs or any other local official for that matter. But sheriffs do not answer to the federal government. They do not answer to the FBI.
Okay. So what do I have to do? I got to make a couple phone calls after this, sounds like.
Yeah, I guess anybody that can get any information to anybody on Trump's staff or Trump, whoever you can. I thought Mike Lindell can do it. I tried to get messages to him as well. Maybe he never got them. Maybe he has too many blockers. Michelle is his secretary. I always try to talk to her, but I don't think.
How many years was he sentenced to?
10 to 15. That means he'll pretty much serve 10 years in prison, pretty close to Tina. Very similar to Tina. Except his is federal and hers isn't.
So hold on a second. Hold on. He's going to get 10 years for campaign contributions. And then he's like, hey, they donated to me. I want people that I can trust around me on my posse.
Sure.
You make people posse members. And then all of a sudden you're guilty of, but you can be worth $300 million on $160,000 salary like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
You see what's happening? The elite get to tell you who they could take and who they can't.
Right. Yeah, believe me, I would love to see campaign reform happen and donor contribution reform change and happen. But this stuff has been going on for centuries in America, and it's part of the game. And do most of us like it? No. But what Scott Jenkins did, and him going to prison around other gangbangers who he's attacked over the years, and a cop being in prison mixing it up with street gangs. This is pretty much a life sentence for him, and this is just absolutely absurd. We cannot let this lay. We cannot let this go. And I would do anything for Tina. I went to her trial. I went to her fundraiser right before it. I've donated to her probably 3 or 4 different times, and we need to raise money for the CSPOA. And I put that aside so that I would spend time with her and time for her and money for her, because I knew what she was going through, and I know what she's going through now. And I've never been in jail except my own jail that I ran for 8 years. And I just really feel for her. We took care of our inmates, but it is still a horrible place to be. They had decent food, they had commissary, and in our little jail, they didn't get a lot of sunlight time. And we tried to provide for that as much as we could. And I also did away with smoking. I just didn't like the idea of inmates having a way to start a fire in their cells and wherever they were while they're smoking. And so I stopped all smoking inside the jail for inmates and employees. And, smokers didn't like it, and smokers got mad at me, and I had friends who were smokers that got mad at me. I said, I'm here to run a jail, not a smoking environment for people who commit crimes. I'm sorry that they're addicted.
You sound like a
We'll try to get them stuff for that. Say that again?
You sound like Sheriff Arpaio.
Arpaio, yes. Arpaio, yes.
Yeah, stud. He made everybody wear pink.
And every Christmas I personally paid my own money, and I went and got a milkshake for every inmate. Every Christmas, I handed out milkshakes to everyone. I went and took orders. For 80 people, I would go, okay, what kind of milkshake do you want? The Dairy Queen was right next door to us. And so I would literally walk over there, bring it back, and give everybody a Merry Christmas. I mean, how many times do you get a milkshake inside a prison? And so every year.
Is that a trick
Christmas,
question? I'm sure they got some slang for milkshakes in prisons.
Yeah.
they got
Very good, Joe.
All right. So
but I look, I'm a nice guy, but I'm telling you what, I'm getting tired of this. And what happened to getting rid of paying? Where's DOGE? Where's Doge on Planned Parenthood? And I know there's a bill right now being sponsored to try to stop all of that. But I'm telling you what, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to stop paying to this federal government until they stop giving my money to a crooked organization known as Planned Parenthood, selling body parts and all the other crap they do and killing babies. You'd think that would be enough, but no.
All right, so I have to bring this up because we have this video, and as you're talking, I'm going through and looking at it, and this is crazy. So Scott Jenkins said that he was going to I think this is where they got him. He was going to deputize 10,000, tens of thousands of citizens to help them keep their guns.
That's right. That's Scott Jenkins. Is a good constitutional sheriff.
So I have this. Put us up here with this. I want you to hear directly from Scott Jenkins. President Trump, if you're listening, I'm gonna make some phone calls. I'm actually going to talk to Wayne Allen Root and a few other people. I'm just going to go through my Rolodex and say, hey, look at this case, and I'll look up.
Wayne would be good.
Let's go ahead and play this 3-minute clip. This is Scott in his own words. He sounds reasonable, very reasonable.
Do you see sheriffs as the last line of defense if the federal government did look for ways to massively confiscate firearms?
I do, and I would go back to what I said 2 years ago was well publicized. A sheriff such as myself, and I'm speaking only for myself, not for other sheriffs, as I said 2 years ago in Richmond and repeated it over and over, if The Supreme Court has already ruled that weapons in common use and AR-15, high-cap mags, and so on should be allowed. Okay, we have that ruling. We have a constitution that says what it does. So that said, as a sheriff, I have the ability to decide whether there's a line there being crossed. But unlike other sheriffs across the nation, when they weighed into that argument a couple of years ago, saying, well, I won't say what I'll do, but I won't allow an unconstitutional law to be enforced. I've never said that and often got confused with other sheriffs who did. That's not my approach. My approach is much more simplistic, and I'm going to use the office of sheriff, the power I do have, without arguing over a bill or law that's being passed. I have the ability to swear in citizens as deputy sheriffs. I have no limit on the number. I don't have a limit to my county borders. And as I told them in Richmond, and I mean it today, just as well if Congress chooses to go down that road, I will swear in tens of thousands of citizens as deputy sheriffs, provided they have their own weapons and be on call and available to me for service. And they will be allowed to keep those AR-15s, high-capacity magazines, and whatever else it is, generally speaking, that's being talked about through all the chatter and rhetoric. These people are not going to suddenly, because they're sworn in as my deputy sheriff, start to run out and commit crimes and do bad things with the guns they've owned for decades. They're citizens that elected me into office to protect them and protect their rights. And that's one way I can use the power of my office legally to do what I need to do to protect their rights to own those weapons for defense. But more importantly, many people get lost. It gets a little blurry. The Second Amendment was not written for self-defense or for hunting or anything else. It was written for a specific reason, and we need to go back to focusing on what the meaning of that amendment was for and never lose sight of it. And along the way, yes, it does involve the protection of yourself, your family, and others, and sporting and other reasons. But too often, the left in their rhetoric try to drown out the true cause of why we must always allow our country, based on the founding and those amendments, to continue to be able to have those weapons, have the things that are guaranteed them by those Bill of Rights. And sheriffs may be just that last line of defense to say, no, that's a line you won't cross. I know I'm certainly one of those people.
That seems really reasonable to me.
Joe, guess what? If he was elected in 2012, about 2 months or 3 months after he was elected, he called me and asked me to bring our constitutional training for his entire office. His entire office. I guarantee you where he got the idea of deputizing his own people. And that is something that we teach. If you have to secure the Second Amendment by deputizing everybody in the county, absolutely. I applaud him, but is there any question why the federal government went after him?
No.
No.
I think we know why they went after him. That's,
of course,
it's pretty obvious why they went after him or how they and when. And I mean, the whole thing's obvious. So,
yep. And another sheriff in Maryland that did pretty much the same thing, and they went after him too. He didn't get any prison. He got most of it beat. I don't know how this went through the way it did, but these evil prosecutors and these evil people of the DOJ back under Biden, they were absolutely criminal. They were evil, and we've got to stop this. This is a leftover from Biden and the corrupt FBI. The reason we got Kash Patel in there, the reason we have Dan Bongino in there, the reason we have Trump in there. And we got to get this turned around somehow. And I'm frozen.
No, you're frozen now. You back?
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Can we talk about the 10th Amendment real quick? Can we? I just sent a couple of text messages, a couple of emails. I will get right on it. Right on it. Okay. So let's talk about the 10th Amendment. How does it relate to what you're doing currently?
Well, the 10th Amendment is what I sued the Clinton administration on back in 1994. You mentioned 1997. That's the year we won. So this is the only time in U.S. history where this decision, where sheriffs, this condition ever happened. This phenomenon of sheriffs suing the federal government and winning has happened one time in the United States of American history. And that was me. I started the whole thing. Sheriff Prince was second, and 5 other sheriffs joined us. Prince and I ended up at the Supreme Court. Justice Scalia wrote the decision that everybody else in the country needs to see. I have them right here. This case is absolutely miraculous, and every citizen should have it. Every American should have this book in their home, in their pocket, in their car, and be passing this around to every public official in your county. It's the 10th Amendment. It's the restoration of the 10th Amendment. And the 10th Amendment says this: the power is not delegated to the United States government by the Constitution, remain with the people or the states. And so, wow, the federal government cannot self-aggrandize itself. It cannot give itself more power because it cannot go outside the delegated powers that we, the states, we, the people, gave them in the first place. They cannot go outside their delegated authority. And that happens all the time, and we have got to get back to our Constitution, and that is the solution for America. Not if we move forward. We've got to go back. We've got to go back to Independence Hall and the foundation of America, our Constitution. The 10th Amendment is essential to that. It is essential to creating checks and balances, and that's why Sheriff Jenkins called it correct. The sheriff is the last line of defense for any of these issues.
Sheriff, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
Yeah.
We're more in big trouble because we can't even get it right. Like we can't even. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong, and we debate the ridiculous all the time. I mean, the Second Amendment is really plain and it's very simple. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And part of the reason why we're here right now, part of the reason why we're having this conflict, not you and I, but this conflict in society, is because even Cory Booker said it. He said it in his little filibuster speech, that they've been able to bend the paradigm of reality. He said they were able to bend the paradigm or the moral paradigm of reality, which means he's basically saying that they're throwing out morality. They were able to change everything, that basically make it a smorgasbord for really deviant, bad people. And then we have to negotiate it. So we're already at a disadvantage because we're negotiating with the ridiculous. And the Constitution has not been followed for some time. It hasn't. I'm sorry, it hasn't.
That is true. Totally true. So, I want to add one other thing about our case real quickly.
Yeah.
It was a gun control issue because we sued on the Brady Bill, and the Brady Bill was a gun control movement.
Yes.
But something you might not know, Joe, there were 5 Brady bills scheduled to be passed one year after the other for 5 years until the Brady Bill movement would have completely destroyed the Second Amendment. Brady Bill 2 was introduced by Howard Metzenbaum just 2 weeks after I filed against number 1. With the help of the NRA, we had this case filed February 28th, 1994, the very day the Brady Bill took effect. 2 weeks later, he introduced number 2. It did not get out of committee. And one of the biggest reasons was because Brady Bill 1 was under litigation and being sued and a legal action taken against it by a sheriff. And at that time, I was completely by myself. I was the only one in the country. And so then after we won in 1997, Brady Bills 2, 3, 4, and 5 all died. And we stopped most of number 1. And so here again, the power of one and a few sheriffs did more to preserve the Second Amendment than Congress has since its inception.
Wow. So what do you think? How do you think that what they're doing right now, knowing that there's plain English in the Constitution, and that they're running past it, and states are infringing on it, and you talked about the 10th Amendment. I'm just going to talk about the 14th Amendment for a minute, and that is equal protection under the law, right? And you wouldn't have to argue very, very hard for you to say that a person in Florida is more of a U.S. citizen than somebody in Colorado or California. It wouldn't be a stretch because you do not have the same application. I am not an equal citizen of a Florida citizen. Like, I have the ability to protect my family in Florida. I don't in Colorado. I don't in California. They set limits for by which you're allowed to protect your family. I mean, now the new California law is you have to run away. Like, if you have the ability to run away, you have to let them take whatever they want, and you have to run. In essence, canceling the castle doctrine. Right?
Yeah.
So,
well, first of all, they need to all understand that gun control is against the law in the United States. And all of these vapid, corrupt politicians don't give a damn. They don't care what it says.
But that's
they're
my
smarter
point.
than the founding fathers. Yeah.
That's my point. They're not smarter. They're bullies. I mean, these are criminals. They're organized crime.
Yeah, they are.
Organized crime took over. But what are we supposed to do? I mean, look, I had a judge told me a bunch of stuff. You got to give up your source in this Dominion, this Coomer deal. And I was like, well, there's a law in the books in Colorado that says that I get to protect my sources, my news person sources. And they're like, yeah, we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We want your source. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And so they can just throw laws away. I mean, it's indiscriminate what they can do. They can just throw their hand away.
Of the land.
I'm sorry?
Especially the supreme law of the land.
So why have we not dragged these people out? Why is it that we haven't taken it right to their forehead? Why is it that every time we stand up and say, hey, by force, they're like, oh, you want to be violent? The only people that are violent are Antifa, shitbags, and the rest of these clowns, right?
Yeah, BLM and Antifa and all being supported. All this violence against Tesla is all being supported by AOC and all these other politicians.
They're talking about it openly.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Crockett that openly called for violence against Tesla and people that own them. I mean, frankly, I want to go punch that woman in her face. And you're like, oh, you can't hit a woman. She's a demon.
I've heard there's talk. That they're going to be prosecuted, but that's all I'm hearing is talk. But
that's my problem. It's always talk.
Yeah.
Talk. I mean, Tina Peters still in jail.
Yeah, and I can see Tina now coming into this new facility that she's in, and then other inmates go, "Hey, what you in for? You don't look like you belong here. You know, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? What'd you do?" "Oh, I used to be the county clerk in Mesa, Colorado, and I secured the votes. I secured the tallies of the votes." "Okay, and?" "No, that's it." "No, there has to be something more." "Oh, well, I hired an IT specialist to help me do it because I didn't know all the technical stuff about the computers, but I did that." "And?" "That's it." "What did they charge you with?" "Oh, corruption and a few other things, but that's all I did. That's it. That's my crime. I secured the vote tallies for my county. That's it." What a farce.
Yeah, and you know what? She'll get a lot of respect from the prisoners though, because they're going to be like, "Wait, you stood up for our vote."
She'll get both. She'll get respect, but they'll be jealous of her. Some will be jealous of her, and she might get picked on a little bit too. But I think there'll be others that will defend her.
Well, let's talk about the defending her part. 9 years in Colorado, a judge in Colorado gave an illegal in the state of Colorado who murdered an American citizen of Colorado, ran over him with a truck, had come across the border illegally over a dozen times since 2004. He got 1 year. 1 year.
The average sentence for murder in America is 11 years. The actual time served is 7. Yeah, so Tina's about the same as a murderer. Her sentence is.
And do you know why she'll serve a majority of the 9 years? She won't, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to let her stay in jail. I'm not going to let her stay in jail. You say, well, what are you going to do, Joe? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know yet. All I know is that I don't want to live in a country where it's run by demons. I don't want to live in a country. I don't want to have to go through the things that we're going through by a bunch of feckless cowards, because that's who that's who's allowing this to stand. It's feckless cowards. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I've heard rumors that Pam Bondi or somebody in DOJ is going to do some investigating on Tina's case.
Yeah, they are.
Is that real?
Yeah, I sent 400 gigabytes of information up to the DOJ.
Okay, good.
And by the way, it shows that investigators for the state of Colorado did everything they could to build a story, See, when you follow the facts, that's one thing. Okay. When you tell a potential witness or someone, tell me what part of this report you can debunk so that I can put that in my report. That's something completely different. Because that means that you're trying to build a story in order to attack Tina Peters. That means you're committing conspiracy. You're involved in a conspiracy to strip an American citizen of her rights, which is what they did to Tina.
Well, the only real, you sort of alluded to this a minute ago. The only real competition that the corruption of Washington, D.C. has is the mafia.
Yeah. And the mafia,
and they're
by the
one
way,
and the
was
same.
created. The mafia was created. You could argue that at least the mafia has a code.
Yeah, they have a more moral code than do the politicians.
Because if you hurt a child in the mafia, you got yourself some cement slippers. God bless you.
You're in trouble.
You're not going. You're done for, right?
Yeah.
But
the pedophile politicians get away with it all the time.
And that's really what they are.
Yeah.
They're disgusting, vile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wouldn't. I don't want to say what I wouldn't do.
A bunch of drunks too. They literally come to work and go to the congressional floor drunk, and they were accused of that by their own colleague. And they say, you come here drunk. Don't tell me you don't. You do. So no. That was during the Hedspeth hearings, and so no, I don't trust any of them. And I just really hope and pray that Trump will take the action now to do this. The reason we voted him in, I support him. I went to his fundraiser a year ago in Vegas, and we've got to get rid of all of this corruption in Washington, D.C. We've got to abolish the IRS, abolish the Federal Reserve, abolish the federal income tax, get rid of any money going to private organizations like Planned Parenthood, and let's be fair and honest in our dealings in Washington, D.C., and let's take it back. And that's why I voted for Trump, and I still believe that he's doing a good job. The stock market notwithstanding right now, I'm still with him, but we've got to do more to protect innocent people from going to prison. And we've got to move on that. And I have spent 4 months on this. It's the top priority for CSPOA, for both Tina and Sheriff Scott Jenkins.
Well, I tell you what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we make a bunch of noise for Scott Jenkins. I'll put some stuff out there. Is he's scheduled to go in?
He doesn't have a date yet, but his sentencing was already 2 weeks ago. So the time for him to go is very soon.
Okay, so maybe you could hook him up, and I'll put him on the podcast, and we'll have a couple 100,000 people be the advocates for him. We'll get some phone calls.
I'll do it.
Going. Yeah, so we'll do that afterwards.
You tell me when you want him, I'll get him.
So Mermaid, make sure I think you're listening. Make sure you get with Sheriff Mack, and we'll get Jenkins on for sure. Walk through a story. I think it'll be a great story, especially given.
Or you have Mermaid call me, or you call me, and I'll let him know that I'm giving you his number.
All right, perfect. Because right now he needs all the sunlight on him as you can possibly get.
Yeah, I had him on our webinar, our CSPOA webinar a week ago, and it was fantastic. He really had all of us spellbound.
Well, the greatest part about going through adversity like this is that the Lord is with him, and I'm sure we'll do what we can to help him as well. Sheriff Mack, how do people follow you, find you? How do they donate to CSPOA? What's the how do I keep you on the front page of Untamed?
Well, thank you. CSPOA, Constitutional Sheriffs Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org. Become a member. Every American can be a member of the CSPOA posse, because we help you train, be a posse member of your own sheriff. We train you to work with your sheriff. We train you how to do that. But please join us, donate to us. Donate any amount. There we go, CSPOA.org. And make sure you purchase a bunch of these. They're 3 for $5. You can get a bunch of these and pass them around and prove to any local official the federal government is not our boss and we are autonomous and independent states. Let's go do it, folks. There's that book right there. That's it. Supreme
Absolutely.
Court case, state sovereignty. Get it.
Awesome.
CSPOA.org. And thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, God bless you, brother. And I tell you what, we'll continue to fight, and we'll continue to support you. And thank you for your support of Tina, and just all the things you support over the years. Thank you. God bless you.
See you later.
Well, we're going to help Scott Jenkins. We're going to make sure that happens. We're going to make sure that we support. And it's the first I've heard about it, which is odd. And that's probably not true. I probably have heard about it, but there's so much going on at any one point. It's hard to keep up. Let's keep up with all of it. All right, let's talk about it. You ready? Can we talk about it? Let's talk. Sheriff Mack just brought it up. The markets are down. The markets are down. Markets are down. Apollo, what are the markets down right now? It ended down 2,200 points, I think, on the...
Yeah, it was big.
2,200. You guys are going to freak out on me when I say this. So you got 5.6% down on the S&P, 5.5% down. Is it 5.5 or 6.5? Can't see anything. You need to put glasses on. Here we go. Yeah, 5.5, 5.97%. Everything's down pretty. I mean, my stock portfolio looks like it's in big trouble. You have, Tesla's down 10% to 239. Sure glad I didn't jump back in there yet. Okay. Everyone's freaking out. So Lynn is freaking out. Lynn has been my executive assistant for 9 years. And she's freaking out. She's like, I think I need to pull money out of the 401k. I'm like, leave it alone. 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 Here's what's going to happen. The markets are down, and I want you to hear what President Trump has to say, and then I'm going to walk through, and I'm going to tell you why you need to take a deep breath. Okay? Take a deep breath. Let's play it.
The markets today are way down, the worst day in years because of the tariffs. So how's it going?
I think it's going very well. It was an operation like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
All right. So let me settle you all down. Can I settle you all down? You got $6 or $7 trillion of guaranteed investment in the United States. You have basically tariffs that they've put on countries that have had tariffs on us for many, many, many years. So what happens is that we've got some stuff we still have to settle. I want you to put your thinking cap on. I'm going to just teach you a few things right now. Okay. Super fun for me because I love talking about this part of the stuff. So you would think, all right, you have tariffs and the markets are collapsing, crashing. They're really not. They're not collapsing. They're not crashing. They're correcting. Now you have some kind of crappy people that are out there saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This is absolutely crazy. You have a Nebraska House of Representatives congressman who's this dumb Nimrod is trying to strip President Trump of his tariff powers. He's trying to strip President Trump of his tariff powers. I can tell you what the people are tired of. They're tired of people like that piece of shit taking away our ability to thrive. The middle class is almost gone. And what's worse than the middle class being gone is that the lower class has no opportunity for advancement. The opportunity desert in our country is ridiculously big. I mean, sure, you can go become LeBron James. They'll pay you a bunch of money to sit on a stage in a gladiatorial contest on playing basketball or whatever. So you have a 1 in 7 billion chance, 1 in 5 billion, whatever it is. It's a relatively nearly unattainable goal for most. So short of that, you have to go to a university that that you have institutional slavery there. You have $300,000-$400,000 debt that you have to run up. So here's what I said today. President Trump is playing chess. You're going to have to take a deep breath. You're going to have to. I said it's called chess. Playing chess, you win. I'm still very upset over the lack of decisive action on real Tina Peters, as she should be out. Yet this move by 47 is a game changer. So follow me on this. Tariffs create massive boon in trade policies, and over time, force energy and jobs back into the U.S. So long term, it's going to work out really well for us. Long term is not 10 years down the road, by the way. In the meantime, revenue flows in, energy prices come down to ease the pressure caused by sustainable drilling and energy independence. Because we do know that the more oil we have, the lower the price for oil and gas, and that actually feeds most of our economy. Now, the Fed will be forced to lower interest rates, which will allow the Treasury to renegotiate debt. So we actually have debt, and that debt's a problem. And so we want to negotiate the terms on that debt. The lower interest rates will reduce mortgage costs and loan rates for Americans, leading to lower payments and reduced debt ratios. Now, for the kickers, elimination of income tax. He hasn't done this yet, but he needs to. That means no more IRS. It means stability back in the homes of American families. DOJ will cut out spending by $1.5 trillion so they continue at this pace, which will lead to massive wins and what could be one of the first balanced budgets in decades. The model works if you can stomach the short-term bloodletting. The left will use this as a sky-is-falling moment. Yet all of this will be for naught if they do not get rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots. We do not address the election in Wisconsin. We do not stop the demons from stealing our voice and further enslaving us all. Prove me wrong. So I put that up there because I think it's important for you to understand that we do have an obligation. we have an obligation right now to right side the ship for future generations. Now, here's the part that President Trump did not get to, and this is the most important part. And I know this is where my brain goes every single day. Regulation. See, on one side, they take all the meat off the bone from a tax standpoint. In Colorado, they passed a 6.5% tax on anyone that buys guns and ammo. So they're equating guns and ammo to cigarettes and things that are bad for you and saying that the Second Amendment, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, is bad for you. That you having guns and ammo, they should be able to take money from you and then do whatever they want with it. What's more important to that is they take that money, that 6.5%, and they funnel it to organizations in what can be called money laundering so that those organizations can work to hurt the organization and the people that are buying those guns. So it's a circle of how they can do everything they can to destroy Americans because they hate Americans. They hate us. They hate anyone that does well and wants to be strong. They want weak people because they're weak. So you have taxes on one side. And, we do what we can to try and get away from taxes. And you have taxes on your cars and your houses and property tax. And I mean, you have income tax at the state level, and you have income tax at the federal level, and you have to drive on roads, you get taxed. And you go to the grocery store, you get taxed again. Well, they're going to have to do something and come to some sort of globalized consumption tax and get rid of all of these taxes because the American people have had it. But the regulations on top of them taking the tax money, create a burden that then requires you to say, why would I do this? There's nothing left. There's no meat on the bone left. And so the government comes into these different environments. They enter into on the sports side, like they buy event centers, everything else. They're all owned by state organizations or federal organizations because they can not make money. It doesn't matter. If you have a budget and you don't make any money in your budget, they don't care. Why would they care? There's no. Sorry about that. There's no consequences to the fact that they lose money. They just go in the red. Oh, we have a $4 billion debt, sir. A debt shortfall. So what do? They raise your taxes again. And they're like, we got enough money. Now we have this surplus. So let's pay all these people bonuses and more money and inflate their budget. Like the budgets in Colorado are probably 60 to 70% bloated at the state level. 60 to 70%. You said, well, Joe, how does that have to do with the stock market? Pretty simple. Markets are down because they're correcting. If we don't take care of regulation and deregulate some of the things that are happening in our country and stop them from this institutional enslavement, this bondage that they put on the American people, it won't matter because we won't be able to survive anyway. The reason why they went overseas with things and went to Mexico to do manufacturing is because they couldn't get past all the BS we have here in the United States. So it's going to be a consideration we're going to have to consider. I don't know why I'm tired. Paulo, I don't have coffee. That must be it.
Do you need some coffee latte?
Yeah, a coffee latte. Have somebody give me a coffee latte. So the market crash of sorts is being blamed on reciprocal tariffs Trump has placed on all foreign countries, which is not true. However, Steve Miller just came out and outlined why the tariffs are necessary. I think it's really important. So this is Stephen Miller. Let's listen to him for a minute.
Can someone explain to me? We protect and defend South Korea. And in exchange, they steal our automobile industry, they steal our electronics industry. We protect and defend Japan, and in exchange, they close their market to our cars. We protect and defend Canada, and they run up a massive trade deficit with us. We protect and defend all of Europe at a cost of trillions of dollars over time, and what do? They run an over $300 billion trade deficit with the United States. Why should America protect the world, send foreign aid to the world, defend the world, provide for the world, and in exchange, get ripped off by every other country in the world? And what do we have to show for it? The deindustrialization of the heartland, the destruction of the American dream, the eradication of our industrial and manufacturing base that we need for our national security, and the crushing of the American dream. It has to stop, not to mention $36 trillion in debt.
$36 trillion in debt. By the way, at the current interest rates, we're already bankrupt. Sorry, that's the reality. $34.7 trillion is actually the limit by which we're at a place of insolvency. Now we're at 36 trillion, and even the adding to so you have to have this thing that happens where interest rates come down. President Trump is going to play chicken a little bit with Powell, the Fed chair, which, by the way, he's a douchebag. But we're going to have to make some changes, some massive changes, and we're going to have to go through this. So if your money's sitting on the sideline, you're in a really good place. If it's inside the stock market, don't worry, it will recover. But this is what Byron Donalds had to say as it relates to why tariffs are necessary. Now, not all Republicans are on board because you have this crappy guy in Nebraska. But let's at least hear what Byron has to say.
The key thing is, what are other nations going to do? Are they going to continue with their tariff policy that they've had against the United States for years, for decades, some of these countries? Or are they going to begin lowering their tariffs, and we'll lower ours in response?
We're not through the woods yet, are we? I mean, we've got to find out what their response is and if they're going to respond in kind by either raising or lowering tariffs. I imagine that the negotiating pace is just intense, right?
I think we're just getting started here. And let's be perfectly clear, Stu. For decades, a lot of these countries have built their economies on the back of the American economy. We've given them free access to America's markets. They have been charging us massively to try to send anything to their countries. And the way I equate it as a corollary is United States basketball. Back in '92, when it was the Dream Team, it didn't matter what team you threw out there. We were going to dominate them, and it was going to really be ugly. Today's Dream Team, we still win the gold, but the games are harder. We got to compete. It's the same thing in the global economy. These nations have become not just developing nations, they are now strong economies. And so we have to have fair trade if you're going to have free trade. And so that's why the president's plan, I think, is going to work for the American people, and it's going to work for high-paying jobs for the Americans over the long term.
All right, so I want to show you this. And this is to give you perspective so you will stop panicking and listening to the Democrats and listening to the media. You know, their job is to make President Trump and everyone else look as bad as possible. If it's good for the U.S., it's bad for them. I want to share you this. This is a breakdown of the Trump tariff. The only way to get these corporations back into the U.S. is to punch them in the gut. And that's exactly what's happening in the stock market. The stock market is reflecting a punch to the gut. Every single mega corporation is operating on foreign lands but are registered in the U.S. These companies have no choice but to come back to the U.S. Otherwise, they will price themselves out of the market. So when I see the stock market fumbling as it is now, it's working. So let's watch this little video.
So by now, you probably heard everything under the sun on what these tariffs are doing to the stock market. But when Trump was asked today point blank about the stock market, he shrugged and smiled and said, it's working. Now, if you know, you know. Allow me to break this down. Revenues from the S&P 500 are 41% foreign-based. That's huge. So when you're looking at multinational companies that are going to be hit with this tariff, they're scrambling. Let's just take Nike, for example, because they're a huge multinational company. Nike stock is not doing well. Now, the only thing that the shareholders and the CEO of Nike are concerned about is obviously their stock. Now, if Nike was to stay competitive in the U.S. market with these tariffs, do you really think they're going to increase their prices 25% to the consumer? That would be asinine. Why? Well, if they increase their prices to 25% to the consumer, people won't be buying Nikes nearly as much as they did. And if they don't buy Nikes as much as they did, with their stock value plummeting, they're screwed. So what will Nike do? First of all, they're not going to pass on all of the tariffs to the consumer. They will absorb a lot of these tariffs. Second, they can't avoid these tariffs. They have no choice but to bring that manufacturing back to the United States. Now, where's the evidence of this? Well, Ford is already doing this. So is Toyota. Ford is offering employee pricing to every car. Employee pricing is like 10 to 20% cheaper than the invoice pricing. Toyota right now is doing a massive social media campaign to let the consumer know which cars in their brand are made in the United States so they can sell more cars. You see, when you think like a corporation, you understand what's going on. Right now, a lot of this fear is coming from the countries to where these corporations have homes. These countries do not want these companies to move. The only way to hurt a mega corporation is to hit them in the pocket. Now, to the bleeding heart liberal, this should be good news because this is the best way to stick it to the corporation. Back to Nike. If you're a Nike and you're getting hit with 25% tariff, and you still need to be competitive in the U.S. market, the last thing you will do is raise your prices on these Air Jordans or any type of sneaker. If you did so, your stock would plummet even more. This was the only way to get the manufacturing back.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me finish. Let me stay focused on this, Apollo, and then we'll come back. Yeah, I just saw it. So he's not wrong. He is right about wrong about a few things. They are going to pass on some of the prices. And by the way, Nikes don't cost $200 to make a pair of shoes. It costs $2. And a large portion of selling a Nike shoe is the retail environment. So if they sell a pair of Nikes for $200, Nike is getting $100. Of the $100 that goes to Nike, you have branding costs, you have endorsement costs, you have all these different costs that are associated and broken down into that. And a large portion of the cost for those Nikes is entitlements. It's pensions, 401k, investments. They're treated much like big, like government agencies. Like they have to create the same entitlement environments in those places as well, stocks and things like that. And that they use that in order to get people to stay in those environments. So the cost. I'm going to say this: the cost of the sneakers to get into the United States. Everyone's like $200. Now it's going to be $250. No. Let me just do the math for you. The tariff is on the product itself. So if they have 100 pairs of shoes and they're $200 a pair, you have $20,000 for those. Or I'm sorry, if you have say it's $2 per pair of shoes, and you have 200 pairs of shoes. Okay, you have $400. So it's on the basis is on the cost of the shoe. So let's say you have a 30% tariff on those shoes. The shoes would cost you $2.60. Not the shoes are $200 or even $100. You pay a 30% tariff and now they're $130. No. Tariffs are figured on the cost of the product. So if they sell us something for $2, and you would say, Joe, I can't, the margins can't be that high. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. 1,000% they are. 1,000%. And I know because if I don't buy enough of a quantity of something, and I'm buying from different areas, there's margins, and the margins go down 30, 40, 50%. I could take something that normally costs me $15 a piece, and I can get it down to $3 if I buy 100,000 of them. So just imagine where the break point is on that axis. All right. So let's, President Trump has been talking about this free market for decades. And this is what he had to say. This is decades ago he had to say this. Let's play it.
And yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
Think about the mentality that he just talked about, which I don't agree with, by the way. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they pay bring their oil in? That's actually not a free market if you had to do that. So I don't agree with him there. But what he's saying is basically that they get to sell their cars and everything into the United States, but we can't sell our stuff into their environments. They figured it out. And so this adjustment we see in the marketplace is a normal adjustment. Okay, so I'm going to go through this really quick because I think it is important and it's relevant to what we're saying. Then we'll get to the Fun Friday part and we'll just pop off this at this point. So this is Sean responded because I was going through the stuff on Tina. And the reason why, Sean, I'm going through this really simply is because I need to gather all of the information related to Merrick Garland and DOJ, the AG's office. I have a lot, but every little bit helps. And so someone sent me this information. I reviewed it about Sherronna and what was happening at the board meeting. So it says, I think there must be a reference to the Mesa Board of County Commissioners meeting, the election integrity, where they were D6J on the call, that or DOJ on the call. It was Zoom, but media and the Board of County Commissioners were in the room. I was on Zoom. The media and the Board of County Commissioners were in the room. So it says, I was on the call. This is from someone else. Is this KES was on this? Okay. I was on the call. Those of us close to Tina at the time were told only 10 people would receive access to the meeting. Then when the meeting started, we could see all the people were on the call. I remember there's about 100 people and news agencies on the call. I remember seeing the name Shapiro, the New York Times. I wish that I knew there were screenshot those names. Is why we don't have all the exact names of who was on the call. If there was a record of who was on that Zoom, you'd have to. Okay, I don't know what the rest says. Okay, so let me just tell you this: if it's true that he was on, great, but you can't say that he's on if you don't have proof that he's on. Like I have proof that Coomer was on the Antifa call. I have definitive proof. I have definitive proof by his own actions, the fact of what he did for a living, the fact that I was looking at Antifa journalists beforehand. And there's stuff that I have never told anyone about, some things that I was a little leery of back in September and October that I'm going to get my chance to talk about eventually. That will definitively put like the nail in the coffin. I mean, the fact the guy is a raging lunatic who rapes his wife, pees on her, makes her bark like a dog, and has lied over and over and over again is just a derelict. And he's responsible for 50% of the vote of the American people, and he can't seem to get out of his own way of being a deranged Antifa shitbag. I mean, that should be one part. And the fact that he walks around gaslighting things and acting as if what he said is true. You know, he literally, him and his attorneys walk around gaslighting and lying so badly all the time. All the time. They just flat out liars. Liar, 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 liar. And they're trying to convince other people that they're lying. Like we just had to file another thing for this appeals brief. And we're like, basically it's like, shut your mouth. Like, you want Joe to shut his mouth. I'm not going to shut my mouth. Like, you've taken more from me than any person should take from anybody over 4 years. So I'm not going to shut my mouth. Anyway, so if you look at what has been done, you can't mix in stuff that isn't true to what is true and expect that you're going to get a positive response. You won't. You will not get a positive response. And that's what my problem is with Sherronna. In large part. Okay, so we talk about some fun stuff, and then we'll just pop out of here. Have you guys have a great weekend. I got some more stuff that I'll probably talk about this weekend. I'm going to do a X Space or something because I want to talk about President Trump and Pam Bondi and Elon Musk and the fact that we're losing the narrative war. We're losing it because the left lies so succinctly and so collectively. I mean, they're liars, and there's no combating it. There's no combating it because they just build more bots. There's so many bots all over the internet. You got to get rid of bot accounts, and the only way to get rid of bot is literally shut them down, make them all have to do 2FA, go through the process, and you got to do something because it's a little absurd. But I want to, if I can, just tell you this. You're gonna love this. So this is news that just came in, and The problem with the devil that you know is that you gets filled with the void of the devil you don't know. So Reuters just announced that Klaus Schwab is stepping down at the head of the World Economic Forum. He's stepping down. And he is the founder, and he's gonna start the process of stepping down as chair of its board of trustees. A spokesperson for the Geneva-based institution told Reuters on Thursday. He said the forum, which convenes annual gatherings at the Swiss resort in Davos, must recover its sense of mission after a period of turmoil. A period of turmoil. I just want to say congratulations on your retirement, and I hope you rot in hell. Okay, I said it. So here's some stuff to laugh at. Can we get the one on mine, please? Let's do this one first because this is really fun. This is Damon, who's really funny. Damon Amani is super funny, but he's at the Charles Schwab at the World Economic Forum. It's really funny. Let's go ahead and play it.
And I appreciate the World Economic Forum providing me the opportunity to be on this stage and say, F you, Klaus Schwab, and F your New World Order. We, the people, were born free. We will stay free. And you and all of your globalist friends, including everyone in this room, can go F yourself.
And then if you didn't, I don't. I like to find retards online. I've been trying to do a little less lately. But I want you to see this. There is a real life retard finder in real life. Let's go ahead and play it.
Don't touch people. Come on. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands. They're so. Why do you always go to violence and keying Teslas and throwing Molotov cocktails? Why do you always have to get violent? Peaceful protest. Peaceful protests. Peaceful protests. Peaceful protests. Peaceful.
They didn't like his haircut. I want to know what the retard finder looks like. Why does he have to be anonymous, Apollo? Why do we have to have anonymous retard finders?
I mean, I guess he doesn't want us to have the joy of congratulating him. I'd like to shake his hand.
Me too. All right. I have another one. I do.
This one's great.
Okay. In 2016, we want to go back in time, and we'll never forget the fact that D's nuts almost got elected. Let's go ahead and play it.
A just completed poll in North Carolina shows Donald Trump leading Hillary Clinton in a possible presidential matchup, but that's not the part that's grabbing people's attention today. It is the third party candidate on that poll, candidate named D's Nuts.
Oh, no.
Really. A candidate registered as an independent from Iowa has the legal name of D's Nuts.
No.
D's Nuts got 9%. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine that, Apollo? First of all, D's, what's up, D's? Who's D's? D's Nuts. Where's D's Nuts? Can you imagine having a name of D's Nuts?
Bro, I couldn't stop when I saw that.
All right. So lastly, I'm part of a generation that didn't have cell phones. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have helmets. Matter of fact, we were semi-retarded. Like we can tell what a retard is because we were semi-retarded. We were growing up. We didn't have much common sense. I remember, I might get myself in trouble. Actually, I'm not, because you can't actually take something from a kid. All right, when I was like 13 years old, I took blackjacks. You know the blackjack? What are they called? The little, the little firecrackers. Remember that, Paulo?
Oh, yeah.
So I took 1,000 of them.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I took 1,000 of them, and I emptied all of it into a pipe. This is when I knew that I must have had some intelligence. So the pipe had a screw on one side, so when you have these screw tops that you have for it, they're used for gas lines, right? So you have these gas line pieces, and you basically, hook them up together with these pipes. And on one side, you hammer on the top. So we almost filled it and then hammered the top on, and then decided that was probably the retarded way to do it because we were going to blow each other up. We just kept thinking, if this blows up. Now, it turns out we filed, the screw top. You had to file these 2 divots in the deal, and you had to. It took a lot, man. It was a tough deal. So we filed them down. So we had 2 files in there. We could put the wires inside, and I remember taking apart a toy. I can tell you what toy it was, but I took apart a toy and a kitchen timer. And so we put the wires in there. We filled it up with 1,000 deal. We hammered on the bottom, and then you screw on the top with the wires in it. But you had to cut these grooves in it for the wires, and then you ran it over, and you could build it with a kitchen timer. This is why. I mean, look, back in the day. Oh man, I was pretty good at this stuff. I mean, for a kid, I think I was 13 years old.
That's some skills.
So you screw it on the top. You set the kitchen timer. You have a 9-volt battery. The scary part is you got to make sure that the wire is long enough, because no one in their right mind was not freaking flat the you-know-what out. That somewhere along the line when it went ding, 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 that it wasn't going to go boom before it did ding, ding, ding. Like you're hooking it all up. You'd be far away. Put it on the other side of the tree just in case that, cover it with rocks, which turned out to be the stupidest thing I ever did in my life. I mean, I was pretty stupid, but it turns out I was extra stupid at the time, and I was really good at being stupid, turns out. And then you turn the timer and you run. you just run, right? This is next level shit. so you put this bomb, you turn the thing, you're praying that when you're actually just turning the wire just a little bit, you got to test the 9-volt battery with your tongue, because you took it out of something. I mean, we never had a new battery. I'm not even sure I didn't steal the wire from, back then it wasn't Home Depot. It was something different. It was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like a hardware store. Anyway, so you steal the wire. We did. And you turn the dial on it, and you know what happens on the kitchen timer when it gets to the end? It goes tick, 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 tick. The last 10 seconds is always bullshit, right?
Oh yeah.
And so we stood up and we started walking through. We're in this wooded area. I'm not gonna say we start walking towards it. Remember what I told you about putting rocks over it on the other side of a tree? Dude, we blew that tree completely down. But the rocks became missiles. Not gonna lie. Those mothers were everywhere, right? And they were flying. It's like shooting a gun up in the air. Like, tick, 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 they're like falling around you. You're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Right? Then we ran. We didn't even go back. We went back like 2 days later to check on it. Because you had cops came out of everywhere. Everywhere. Broo, broo, broo. People calling it, windows shaking. Oh, it was crazy. Pipe bomb. 1,000 firecrackers. You break them open, and you stuff, and you just stack it, and you pour it in. Yeah.
The more you know.
So I was a part of that. I'm going to get back to this. I was a part of that. That's how I grew up, right? We would jump trash cans, not laying the trash cans down. We jumped them some bitches. They were this high. We built ramps out of wood. And there were times, by the way, the wood wasn't strong enough, so you went straight through the trash cans. Your bike was wrecked.
Oh, that shit hurts.
We had, I know there are some of you listening right now. I know you're with me. We had mongooses. GTs, right? I mean, we had it all. Man, let me tell you something. We wrecked it. You know what else we didn't have? Oh, yes, new case. We drank from garden hoses. Daggone right. We rode in the back of trucks, beds without seatbelts. Yes, we did. What are you talking about 45 years ago? I'm not that old. No. It wasn't 45 years ago. Okay. New case says we would soak gasoline on stumps and burn them out underground. Okay, so guess what else we would do? We would take styrofoam that we got, little styrofoam, put it in gasoline, make napalm. We made so many bad bombs with those. It was crazy what we did. Gator Bait says, we shot an arrow straight up in the sky and played chicken. Last to run lose. I bet you this last one to run loses. Now we just shoot a tannerite. Nope. No, I still know how to make a nice deal. Shrapnel from the rocks is dumb. Yes, Jeff, it's very dumb. I can attest to you that a 13-year-old knows absolutely nothing about what shrapnel is. But I found out very quickly. It's napalm. We rode bikes without helmets and even jumped our Huffy Pro Thunders and Schwinn BMX bikes without helmets or pads. See how far we could jump. Yeah. Dude, I became really good. And we had these, what are they called that you put on your wheels? What are they called?
Like for people to stand on?
Yeah.
What are those called? What, am I retarded?
Yeah, I can't remember it either.
Spokes. No. God. I am retarded.
Gatorade says 45 years old. Look, I'm from the last part of that generation, I guess, because 45 years ago would make me almost in diapers. Mags? No, not mags. They're the pegs.
Pegs.
New K's got it. Pegs. Woo, got it. All right. So I'm from that generation. So this last one is a shout out to all of you youngins that have had to bubble wrap yourself. This is probably the funniest skit I saw online. And yeah, let's play it.
So you'd just be like running around the neighborhood and your parents wouldn't know where you are?
Yep, just had to be back by dinner time.
Which was around what time?
Around sunset-ish time.
Sunset-ish time? What's that?
I don't know, like between 5 and 9.
5 and 9?
It really wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay, did you have a phone?
No, they weren't invented yet.
So on top of your parents letting you run around without knowing where you are, they also had no way to communicate with you to find out.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
How did you not get abducted?
I don't know, maybe that stuff wasn't as prevalent when I was a kid. It's also entirely possible that my generation has more common sense. You know, we're smarter and tougher than your generation.
Nah, I don't believe that.
I think that is the case, and I can prove it to you. If you just follow me to my van, I'll show you. Your van? There's candy. Okay.
The best part about it is, well, how come you didn't get abducted? I got to tell you, I do remember more than a few times that we would torment teenagers, mid-20 guys driving around with a 6-pack of beer in their car, and we would run from them. We ran from cops and we ran from delinquents. They have, yeah, you're right. They have no idea. We would play hide and seek in the dark. Oh yes, we would. Dude, New K's had a little bit of fun. I don't know if I feel like you were in my neighborhood, New K's. I kind of feel like you were there. Yeah, you're a little older than me. Almost 10 years older than me, Gator, but that's all right. We're just built different. So just to end it on that, we threw oranges at cars on the rooftop of schools. Okay, no, we didn't throw oranges. We threw eggs. And I lived in this, I was like 8 years old. I had an arm. And I would throw these eggs and we would hit the cars and it was dark inside and we took the screen out and we would throw the eggs and you'd hit the cars and you'd get a direct hit of like, oh, yeah, we were bad kids. We were really bad kids. I'm surprised I made it out alive. All right, Apollo, you have anything you want to add to this before we jump off on this beautiful?
Just get your go to Honor Bound.
Oh, yeah.
One. Get your free Tina stickers.
Free Tina speakers. Get some of these. There might be a ton of gas pumps with these. I make my cars really thirsty with these. You can get them in the 10-pack or you can get the 100-pack as well. And you can put them everywhere. Proceeds go to benefit Tina Peters. And that's not proceeds to benefit Tina Peters, to make sure she doesn't lose her home or anything else. I've already taken care of that. It's just make sure it takes care of everything else. So you got the trucker hat. By the way, I saw somebody actually wearing one of these hats. Pretty awesome. Go grab one of the hats. I wear a bunch of them. Or the free Tina Peters shirts, or you can have the No Filter, No Fear, Just Truth t-shirts. So we are going to start a club. So you can have a membership to be a part of the club. And here's what I'm going to do with this club, this subscription, become a member, kind of like the Mug Club. I like Crowder's, his really good ideas. But this Mug Club is going to be a little bit different. We're going to throw an event. And we're going to invite everybody out to that event. And then I'm going to just go to one place centralized, and we're going to spend time together. We're going to bring out a bunch of people together, and only those people that are members will be able to go to this specific event. So we're working on that now. It should be pretty fun. We got guys like David Clements out there, and a bunch of maybe J6ers. Just have a conversation, have some fun, break bread, and enjoy it. So, all right, let's go ahead and pray, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh, Nuke just said, ring and run, a.k.a. ding dong ditch. That is not what we called it. You don't want to know what we called it. I did say I grew up in the hood. So
I want to know.
Oh, no, you don't. I can't say it on here.
All right.
I can't say it. Let's just tell you that when I do tell you when we get off here, you're going to laugh your ass off, but I can't say it on here because it'll be offensive to many people. But yeah, we used to do that all the time. We also used to, in snowstorms, grab the bumper and ski behind the cars down the street. That was fun too. All right. How many feds will join the club? Probably a few at least. Tokyo Drone, absolutely. There'll be plenty of feds. Yeah. Pretty awesome. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for Sheriff Mack. Thank you for Tina Peters and the spirit that she has and the defiant nature of standing up for truth no matter what the consequences may bring. We are grateful for Tina, Father. We're grateful for you carrying her and lifting her up and lifting the burden that she must feel, having to be persecuted by such evil and bad people. Father, we know that everything happens in seasons, and we're thankful for the opportunity to be in this season able to fight to restore you to our communities, to our country. And we can see by what's happening, the ripples that are happening in different areas around the world, that what we are doing is restoring the basic dignity, the basic standards of morality and ethics to our very way of life. Well, we have a long way to go, Father, and we know that these tests of life that you put us on, they require us to make sacrifices. So, Father, we're willing to make those sacrifices, and we're here for you to serve and to do your will. And we just ask you to give us the wisdom and to give us the strength and to lift the burdens off of us so that we can see clearly what is in front of us and that we may overcome these obstacles, Father, and you can look out for us in ways that we can't even begin to fathom. Help us, Father, that we may honor you. We may honor you even when no one is listening. And that we may get to a place where we can feel the fight and we can get in the fight and not allow evil to just run roughshod all over our communities, our country, and our people. Father, help us to set aside petty differences, do the right thing by the people in our circle, protect our families, and help us, Father, that we may, through this turmoil that we're dealing with in the stock market, we can see clearly and just can take a deep breath and may just follow the path that you want us to follow, regardless, again, Father, of where it takes us. So, Father, I thank you again for just the blessings in our lives. And we say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. We will see you guys on Monday. Same time, same station. Remember, sooner or later, God's will is done. We just have to be those ambassadors of truth. You can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, tune in and more. Please go down, give us one of those little thumbs up deal. You know, the little thumb up deal thing on Rumble. We got some new changes coming to the new site for Rumble, or excuse me, for Untamed Nation. I have some people that are saying, hey, look, it's great because Untamed Nation never goes down. You go watch the video on Untamed Nation, it never goes down. Never have any sort of glitches or anything else. It's a solid experience, and that solid experience is going to get even better as we bring more people on board and give you kind of a full rundown of things that you can enjoy during the course of the week. So God bless you all. Have a great weekend, and make sure to give us a 5-star review, download us, do all that stuff. And we'll be on Roku. I think Apollo will be on Roku by the end of this month. I think so.
Yeah, we just need to figure out the depth stuff.
All right. Have fun. Remember, don't be the next gen. Well, I mean, you could be the next generation, but act like you're from my generation, because we're badasser, I think. All right. God bless you.